Hey guys, welcome to Ceasefire. I'm Caleb,
I'm John.
and we're going to be going over our tier list today for our favorite army, my favorite army at least, Death Guard. They may not be the best, but we want to go through a unit tier list so that way we can talk about what's the best in the army, what we think is the most functional, and what is the absolute worst dog shit models, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot of those.
I,
So,
I
to
don't
start
know.
us off,
There's some shiny pieces of poop in here.
there are some shiny turds in this army. I will give you. Actually, there are some of the best. There, I think there's one of these models that is the best in the game. I think. Well, one of the best in the game. We will get to it eventually, but for now, we'll start off with Poxwalkers. I do think these things deserve to be in the A tier. They are a very strong. They hold objectives. Yeah, their morale isn't the best, so if you battle shock them, it can be kind of rough for them. But they're able to do actions now. They're not a threat. They have a 5-up feel no pain, and they benefit from cover and everything like that. Like they are a solid unit that you can either march up the board to screen or to sit back and just do objectives. I don't think there's any list that I would take that wouldn't have at least two groups of 10, if not more, in every list.
Yeah, I would almost classify that as a S tier. You're gonna see this in every list. This is like a must take in every army. They're your chaff. Well, when I say in every army, they're your chaff unit. Every army
Right.
needs some type of chaff
Now,
unit.
the reason I don't put them in S tier is because
They're not above and beyond. Yeah, you're
yeah,
right.
they don't go above and beyond what they're supposed to do. They do exactly what they're meant to do, and I think that deserves a great A tier spot. The next model we're gonna be doing is the Tallyman, and this model I think is an A tier, maybe S tier. It generates you CP. You can either put it in a group of Plague Marines to give them their bonuses for the +1 to hit and everything like that. He is a really good, just all around model. I think A tier would be is a good spot for him, but really it's just that CP generation that is just so good. Um, the +1 to hit also is pretty good depending on where you're gonna put him in those with those Plague Marines. If you're gonna put him in there at all, I mean you can just leave him by himself, sitting in the back just to generate that CP. But he's also almost a must include. He just doesn't do anything like super spectacular past that.
Yeah. Uh, and what was the CP generation on? If I
A seven
remember, was it
plus.
7+
Yep,
and two
it's a
dice?
7+. Yep, 2 dice 7+.
It being a 50%, so where were you thinking about putting him?
I was
Sorry.
thinking A.
You're thinking A. I think B because of 50% in the current game, other people get it for free.
It's true.
He's good. He's like definitely a take, but he's not a must take. I think he's one that you could like if you didn't want to, you don't have to.
I think with how CP hungry Death Guard is, I think he is a must take. But I could give you a B tier on him.
Yeah,
Like he's
go
not
ahead.
like amazing, but he is good.
Yeah, he is good. Like I don't think he's like a must take in every army though. Like you can be CP hungry, but I think because if you take tactical, you might be able to just avoid him as a whole.
That's true too. But I for how cheap he is, because I mean he's only 55 points.
I know. Like he's definitely a filler in my opinion. Like if you have like random amount of points, he's filler if you've already taken your three Poxwalker groups.
Yeah, that's fair. All right, and so we'll move on to the next model that the biologist Putrefier. Now this guy I think has some really interesting things because he lets a group of Plague Marines. If you're making a death ball of Plague Marines, I think this guy needs to be in that group because it makes it to where your lethal hits score on 5+ instead of 6+. And then you get to use the grenade strat on that unit once per battle for free. I think he is super cool, just for that the lethal hits on 5+. So if you put him in a group that makes that group really lethal. Him mixed with some other key models makes those death balls of Plague Marines really interesting. I don't think he's a must take by any means. I would probably put him around B or C tier, but he does his job specifically really well.
What is the grenade strat? If you could remind.
It's 76 for every 4. I think it's 4+, or it might be 5+. For every 5+, you do mortal wound.
Sorry, I was trying to find it myself. Oh, it's just on the second page. Yeah. Yeah. I could go with that. I think he's B tier as well. If he plays the role that you take him, and that's definitely for the critical hits. It's to
Yep.
lead that unit to get that critical hits. Can you take him
Those
with someone else? If I
he can
remember
only go with
correctly,
Plague Marines.
he can another character though. Can you double pair
So
characters?
any of these characters that we're talking about right now can be paired up with two characters.
Okay, that's what I thought. So I was like,
Yep.
I think he's
These
a
are all
good
support
splash in.
characters.
He's a good splash in
Yep.
for
It's
the
like I
other
said,
main character
him
you'll
paired
put him in.
with more characters in this inside of a group of Plague Marines is really scary.
Yep.
Specifically, I guess we'll get to him towards the end of the list, but he's really good paired with the Foul Blight Spawn is amazing.
Yeah.
So
All right.
the Predators, both versions of the Predators, I think are F tier.
Yeah.
I'm not wasting points on these. My my Plague Burst Crawler just does the job better. I would never waste points on the Predators at all. I think they're terrible.
Yeah. I think I agree. Compared to what you can get, it's just not good. Like, it may be cheaper than some of the other options, but it's not cheap enough.
Yeah, they're expensive. They hit hard, but like my entropy cannons hit harder.
Yep.
Like I just think the entropy cannons, the Plague Burst Crawler is just better all around. It's tougher. So, and also those Predators don't have a field invul save. So
Oh yeah.
they die really easy.
That's rough. I thought all demon engines ended up getting a 5-up.
Those aren't
invul.
demon engines.
Oh, they're not demon engines? Oh,
Nope.
gross.
Nope, they're just Predators. They're just normal ass tanks. So I just see no reason to take them. Now, the Defiler, on the other hand, I think is really spicy this edition. He's really cool. He does a lot of stuff that's like he'll get up there. He makes things scary. He can move over things that are 4 inches or less instead of just 2 inches or less for terrain, so he can get where he's going. His melee is scary. His range is scary since he's hitting on 4s now. And I'm sorry, he's hitting on 3s. My bad. He's hitting on 3s now, and his melee is just kind of disgusting. So I find him around the B tier. He's not like.
What's his points coming in at? Do you know? I don't know.
Yes, I do. He comes in at 205 points.
205.
Now that is for 14 wounds, 10 toughness with a 3-up save and a 5-up invul, and OC of 5.
I would like to see him on the field. I haven't seen him played once yet, and I think I agree. He could probably be B or A, depending on what you're needing in your list.
Correct. His ranged weapon, like with his Defiler cannon, is D6 plus 3 shots at strength 10, AP -1, damage 3.
Yep. Or you could take a twin las cannon on him instead. Or is that
no? He gets that all the time.
Yeah,
the Defiler cannon is what he gets all the time.
Oh yeah, I think he's a solid anti monster slash anti.
I think he's anti-elite. I think is what you take him as, because like you can take a single twin las cannon on him, but with twin las cannons now only being 1 shot instead of 2, I hate them personally.
Well, that's why I said anti-monster, because with his strength 16 on his claws, you just rip through any monster, because most monsters are in the range of 8 to 10 for toughness. You can just rip through their stats, and if you get a reroll for free on it, like strength 12 is wounding on 3s, you get that free reroll, so you don't have to spend a reroll on it, or try to buff them up for a reroll somehow.
And I think you get. I think you do load him out with the, either the twin las cannon or probably the
twin heavy bolter. I think.
Yeah, the twin plague heavy bolter I think is a really good one too.
Yeah, I don't think the flamer is worth it. It's not enough strength or AP to make a difference. Yes, it does ignore cover, which is actually really big this edition. And it does get you the free hits, but
yes, but I think with him hitting on 3s, I think he does just fine.
Yeah, because you'll probably be wounding on 3s, or if you're going against elites, that probably will be 4s. To be honest with you, if you're going against elites, because his melee weapon profile is all elite, and if you're at 12-inch range, you're probably in melee soon.
So I think a lot of his stuff is either elite or vehicle heavy, and I also I think specifically the way I'm going to load him out would be he's got his Defiler Cannon. I'm taking him with obviously he has the Defiler Claws. You can't replace those. He's getting the Scourge, and he's probably getting the Heavy Bolter.
Of course, of course. I think I would personally load him out with the last cannon, but like I could see the heavy bolter for just a good cause for getting that chaff.
Yep. The single shot last cannons for me specifically, I can't ever get behind because I'm terrible at rolling. They are not great for me.
Oh, I understand. I've seen you roll the double one, the Caleb curse of double one.
Yep. So we can move on to the Hellbrute.
Yep.
I think specifically, the Hellbrutes this edition have been really good because, if when you get shot at, he gets to move, I believe. Or is that I think that might be
each time this model is selected to shoot or fight after it's finished making its attacks, select one enemy unit that was hit by one or more of its attacks until the start of the next turn. Each enemy
that's right. This one, he makes it
within contagion range.
Oh! Yep, he shoots at something and puts contagion on them. I'm thinking of the regular Hellbrutes from Chaos Space Marines. When you shoot at them, they get a move. I think that is really cool. I think I want to run a list if I owned any Hellbrutes.
I think it's really cool, except for contagion range doesn't matter too much. It matters, but it doesn't.
It absolutely does.
It matters, but it doesn't.
Because you can have,
I think, a run of
the specialty. There's specific things, specific characters that if you're in contagion range, they do things, and so it makes that. So like with the Lord of Virulence, if you're in contagion range, I believe you get +1 to hit with blast weapons and +1 to hit blast weapons, and I think ignores cover or something like that on it.
Oh, okay. So you get other benefits off of it.
Yeah. So you're not just giving them -1 toughness; you're getting other things that are pretty interesting too. So there's a cool list out there that runs 2 or 3 Hellbrutes with Plagueburst Crawlers and the Lord of Virulence, and you're picking a single unit and you're just blasting on them. And I think it's really cool. But if I had any Hellbrutes, I'd at least try the list. I think it's interesting because then you can run those Hellbrutes with some interesting range weapons. Because like if you really want to focus on that blast, I think the Hellbrute Plasma Cannon is really good with D3 shots at Strength 8, AP -3, and Damage 3.
Yeah,
I think that's insane. Or the tried and true Multi-Melta with the whatever melee weapon you're going to want to run on him. But I think if you're going to be running the longer range, you're going to want to do the Plasma Cannon or maybe the Las Cannon if you're John, but I still just don't like Las Cannons.
I think anything longer range than the Multi-Melta. The Multi-Melta being at 18-inch range is not long enough for this guy being a support. Because he's there to help you stack buffs that first turn, because that's when your contagion range is the lowest. Second turn as well, if you have to hit something that's not in your reach.
Yeah. Now, I think specifically for the melee weapon that I'm going to be loading out on this guy is I'm probably going to do the Hellbrute Fist, because 5 attacks at Strength 12, AP -2, Damage 3, you can really throw that into anything, and it's going to do damage.
Yeah.
And then also, what I think is pretty interesting with that is you also get another ranged weapon. You can either put a Heavy Flamer in there, or you can put the I think it's just a Combi Bolter that goes in that with it too.
I think it's a Twin Plague Heavy
you can get a Plague Combi Bolter or a Heavy Flamer.
Oh,
the two things. Okay. So I think you put a Heavy Flamer in it. It makes it that chaff clearing, so things can't screen him as well.
Yeah, he's AP -1, too good.
Yep, I think that's another B tier unit. That's pretty good.
I think since he's a one of, we probably just dip him down to a C tier. You're not gonna see yes, there's the one list.
He's specialty purpose.
But yeah, if you're gonna take him, you're building a list with the idea that you're gonna get this, if that makes any sense.
Yep.
On building that list,
I think that's fair. I think that is fair.
He's good, but he's not as good as I thought he was. He's not World Eaters good. For their
no, by no means. So we can go on to the Land Raider now. I think the Land Raider is A tier specifically for the extraction ramp of it being able to move and then get out, and the guys in it still be able to charge.
Yeah, This is your army's one crutch. I feel like running one Land Raider is real good in your army just because movement is such an issue.
I would agree. Yeah, that
OC
assault ramp
5,
is insane. Yep.
it also could just hold a point. So like you could assault ramp, throw your units off the thing, and still hold it if you're like at least screening properly.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think the Land Raider's a solid unit in this army. I think A tier is a great spot for it. It's just they're so damn expensive, sitting at I think it's 250 points for a single Land Raider.
Yeah.
Now the thing
And
I do like about it is they hold. I think the transport capacity of it is 12, so you can put 6. So I think 2 groups of 3 Death Shroud Terminators or a blob of 6 inside of it is really cool. Or a group of 5 Blight Lords and whatever character you want to put with the Blight Lords.
yeah,
I think
so
is also really cool.
it is a group of 12. Well, I think I like the most, or I think that might hurt it a little bit. Is it doesn't have an invul.
Correct, it does not.
Oh, that's almost a deal breaker. I like because you're gonna get hit with those AP -3, AP -4 weapons because that's what a Land Raider is. It does have the 16 wounds to try to shrug it off, but
It also has a 2-up save, so even at AP
true,
-4, you still get a 6-up.
true.
But it is one of those things that if it's on the board, it's going to get shot.
Yeah,
Um,
I think that's what's keeping it out of S tier, where it's not tanky enough for its job that you're taking, and it's not killy enough for it, like because it's a lot of points. It
Yeah,
does the
I'd
job
agree.
it does.
It is, I think, still a very interesting. It's an interesting ploy. I wouldn't run more than one of them though.
Yeah,
It would
same.
be just to transport around the blob of whatever I put inside of it to really make that a like turn 1, turn 2 threat. That's really scary. But other than that, that's just kind of where he sits. Now moving on to Mortarion, I can't not put him in S tier. This boy, usually when taken, just doesn't die. Like, he's so tanky. He's got that 5-up feel no pain. He's got his 4-up invul. He's got his 2. I think it's a 2-up or a 3-up armor save for Mortarion. Let me pull him up real quick.
It is a 2-up save.
2-up save. Yep. And with him, his abilities of being able to choose, like, his host of plagues.
Each time a
he's
model rerolls a 1 within range of him, 6 inches of him, for wounds.
Yep.
You get your old rerolls a 1.
Yep, you can give benefits of cover within 6 inches of him. You can reroll wound rolls of 1 within 6 inches of him, or you can add 3 inches to everything. 3 inches to the contagion range of everything within 12 inches of him. I think it's always going to be the rerolls of 1, wound rolls of 1, because it's not just like there's no core key roll anymore. You can plop him in the middle of 3 Malefic not blight haulers. The tanks.
Plague burst cannon.
Plague burst crawlers.
There you go.
Yep, you can plop them in the middle of 3 of them while they're all marching up the board, and just giving them rerolls of wound rolls of 1, and just watching them destroy things. I think is amazing.
Yep. He also moves fast comparatively for your army. 10 inches.
Yep, 10
I
inch.
understand most flying models move 12, but like take the 10 where you get it.
And what's also nice is he allows everything within 6 inches of him. They ignore any or all modifiers to hit rolls or tests. So like you don't get to modify their. You can't modify their leadership. You can't do any of that stuff to them while they're within 6 inches of him. And I think that is a pretty key thing. So I think he is S tier, and he is a disgusting melee threat.
Yeah.
Because it's only 5 attacks, but hitting on 2, strength 14, AP -3, damage 4, like it's gonna kill something every time it swings. And its sweep attack is insane, especially with lethal hits. So sometimes you're not even having to wound. And for his ranged weapon, now that Rotwind is just a ranged weapon at 18 inches with devastating wounds, like I think he's really cool. Even though devastating wounds and lethal hits aren't the best synergy for me, I don't enjoy those two things being on the same.
I'm glad they don't stack though.
Gun. I am also. That I would be a 6s to hit should not be just because they automatically wound should not count as 6s to wound either. I agree. But I think he is really cool He's really good. Yeah, I think he's S tier. I'm sure some people are going to disagree with that, but he also has that cool factor on top of him. So, onto the Death Shroud Terminators. I would probably chuck these guys up into the A tier, if not S tier. The reason for it is because they're such a good, just all around unit for they're good deep strike threats. They smack hard in melee. They've got their flamers, so they clear chaff really well. Um, and what's really cool is while the character's leading their unit, you subtract 1 from the wound roll anytime you shoot at them.
Okay.
So they're really they can be really tanky if they're being led. I think a blob of 6 of them with a Lord of with a Lord of Contagion or something is a really cool threat to have.
I think I'm gonna keep it at A tier, mainly because there's no AP on their gauntlet. Their weapon for the sweep doesn't have an AP -1 as well. So that
Oh,
means
that's right. They did get rid of that.
so
That used to be AP-1.
it did. Like if it would have kept that AP -1 on their thing, I would have agreed with you. I think as long as it was either on their weapon or on their sweep, but they got rid of it off the sweep and they got rid of it off their flamer pistol.
The Flamer never had AP.
And never had an AP. Well,
Nope.
if they moved it to the flamer, I would have kept them still in S tier.
I think
But
with the anti-infantry 4+ and stuff like that, the Gauntlet isn't meant to shoot and clear like a big squad of like it's not going to do much against Space Marines, but it will do like cultists, other poxwalkers, Tau infantry, because you only have a 4-up save as it stands. Guardsmen, they cleared those things really well.
Yep.
So that's where I kind of like them. They're meant to plink wounds too. So
But that includes their sweep. So like they get screened really easily against chaff if they're close, which you want them
correct.
close. So like you're going to be pushing them up. The other person's going to have their screen to try to wrap them. They're very
No,
slow with that take. Now,
I'll
when
say
I say
this too.
pushing them up, they deep striking. You're right.
Yep, they have that 9-inch charge. If you fail that 9-inch charge, we've seen they don't really do a whole lot because of how slow they are. A 4-inch movement makes them also really not great in that aspect, but they're still a pretty decent threat. I will say though, I don't ever see a reason to use the sweep attack. You get 2 extra attacks, but you lose all the AP on it.
Yeah.
So in a group of 6, you're losing 12 attacks, but the attacks you are swinging are almost guaranteed to actually do something.
Yeah. Or if it's not guaranteed to kill, you're hitting against like Space Marines and you're guaranteed to remove more models because of the damage.
Yep. And I will say this, I wish that their OC was 2 and not just 1.
I think
Their
I
OC
agree with
being
that.
1 is kind of rude, I think.
I think they took a pretty hard nerf from 9th edition.
Yes, they used to be musts and now they're like
they're
I still
good.
think they're musts, but they're not as good.
Yeah, they do their role. They do the role
Yeah.
that you're taking them for.
I'm not taking 3 groups of 3 anymore. I'm still 2 groups of 3 is probably the most you'll see in a list.
Or maybe a group of 6, and maybe a group of 3 if you were like trying to do a character bomb with them.
Yep. And now to the other Terminators, the Blightlord Terminators, which I think they're really not great this edition. Yeah, they have some ranged options that can be kind of cute, but they really just kind of made them meh. They don't do much in melee. They're strength 5, AP -2, damage 1 with lethal hits. Yeah, that's 4 attacks, but I mean, come on, it's not that scary, especially at damage 1. And then the flails now being strength 5, AP -1, damage 2 instead of AP -2. Like, I just don't think they're like a real big threat anymore. I think they're cool. You can do cool things with them, but they're not a must anymore. I think they're around B tier, maybe C tier.
Yeah, I would almost say like I think I agree with you at B tier. They're not quite as useless, but like if
With
you
the
run
4-inch move, man, they lost a lot.
yeah, you like this would be if you need to take a bigger blob of Terminators than a group of 6 to try to keep the person you're trying to keep in that live to like character bomb somebody.
Yeah,
But
I think I think them as a group of 10 too is just kind of weird because like all the opponent has to do is just ignore them. They just walk away from them.
Oh yeah, anything with movement, Eldar, Tau, Astra Militarum, because their vehicles move so fast.
Well, and then with move.
Correct. Like if you can
them adding
play,
3 inches to their move almost negates the entire thing.
but like this would be you deep strike the group of 10 with the characters that you want, and then you throw them in already halfway up the board type thing for that 9-inch.
And just hope that 9-inch charge makes it. I think them running with a Chaos Lord and Terminator armor is probably like the only real big play. Lord of Contagions you can do, but the Lord of Contagion to me just isn't like that thing that needs to be with them. But yeah, I think they're all right, but they're not A tier or S tier by any mean.
Agreed.
We can go on to the next model, which is a Plagueburst Crawler, my favorite, also an S tier model. People are going to disagree with me on that because the indirect fire nerfs that this edition has taken.
This is our tier list.
Yes, this is our tier list. You don't like it? Suck it. I don't care.
I still think they're the best indirect, one of the best indirect models you can take. They're in there in the top list. Like yes, Astra Militarum may have snuck a couple more in there finally, but like they're one of the best indirect models still.
But these things paired up with the Lord of Contagion are so gross, and like D6 plus 3 shots on their mortars at strength 8. I wish it was still a higher AP. I wish it was AP -2 because AP -1 with the indirect giving cover is kind of rude. They don't really get to utilize that almost ever.
Well, doesn't the Hellbrute ignore that cover, right?
No, the Lord of Contagion does.
Well, yeah, but if you hit them with a Hellbrute and they can't see them, it ignores the cover portion of it. This is where that Hellbrute might come into play if you're taking 3 Plagueburst Crawlers.
I think. Well, so the Lord of Contagion is the rule that if they're in line of sight of the Lord of Contagion, anything that shoots them with blast is, I'll tell you, not the Lord of Virulence, sorry. Because it makes it to where anytime a friendly Death Guard makes an attack with a blast on that targets a unit that is visible to this model, add 1 to the hit roll, and that attack has the ignores cover ability.
Okay, so it has to be that model. It's not within contagion range? Correct,
as if they're in line of sight of the Lord of Virulence.
Okay. I thought it had to be within contagion range.
No, I thought so too, but that's not what it is.
Okay.
But yeah, I think those two paired up together, I think if you're going to be taking 3 Plagueburst Crawlers, you probably should be taking 2 Lord of Virulences, so that way you can spread those buffs out throughout, and that indirect fire actually does a hell of a lot more. And I think they are really, really good. And even with because like the Entropy Cannons too, man, Strength 10, AP -3, damage D6 +1, like lethal hits, 2 shots, 2 shots per model, not 2 shots per gun. I think they're really good. Like they are disgustingly good.
Yes. They're anti-tank with those. Was that Strength 10 you said, right?
Yep, Strength 10.
Yep, they're anti-tank because a lot of like rhinos, smaller tanks, and then any monster, it gets.
And then with the lethal hits too, man, that really makes a difference.
Yeah. It does when you spike those 6s on something that does have that toughness.
Yep. Also, I'll say this too, them anything they shoot at with their Plagueburst mortar, having to take a battle shock test afterwards, really good.
Yeah, it makes that chance. So like battle shock, if you were just playing it normal, sometimes comes into effect, but I would say about 80% of the time, if there's no modifiers to it, you're most likely doing, or you're not doing anything to the other person's army.
That's the thing that there's a what is it called? The enhancements that allows it that I think it's the Droning Aura. While this unit contain range, you can, if they fail their battle shock test, you can do mortal wound. They take a mortal wound on a 2 through 5 and on a 6. So that's the thing. Like you can stack interesting buffs while they're in contagion range. That's what the Hellbrute does to push that onto targets that you want to take those mortal wounds and stuff.
Yeah, see, that's a lot more. I don't think I would play 2 Hellbrutes. Like, if I was going to play the list, I'd play 2 or 3 Hellbrutes with them, but I wouldn't play the list unless I was running that.
Like yeah, the list it's a gimmicky list, is what you're trying to run with it. But it's interesting. It can do interesting things.
It's a cool swap up.
It's something different, that's for sure. Because if you're going to be running mechanized Death Guard, you're going to kind of have to do that. But yeah, I think those Plagueburst crawlers, I think they're S tier. That's my opinion on that one. Moving on to Typhus. I don't see much use for Typhus really. Like, yeah, he's cool and stuff, but like, you kind of have to like. So if he's leading a unit, they take -1 to hit, but you're putting him inside of Blightlord Terminators, Deathshroud Terminators, or Poxwalkers. So like, if you're putting him with Poxwalkers, that -1 to hit, yeah, makes that group less valuable to shoot at, but like, I'm not wasting my time putting him in Poxwalkers. You put him in. Now, what's really cool, if you put him with Deathshroud Terminators, not only do you get -1 to hit them, you get -1 to wound them too, because of the Deathshroud Terminators buffs. So that makes a blob of 6 Deathshrouds really interesting with Typhus. And then his cool thing that he can do with what his psychic is turned into is in the shooting phase. If they're an enemy unit within 18 inches and they're visible, on a 2 through 5 that they're taking D6 mortal wounds, and on a 6 they're taking D3 plus 3 mortal wounds. Like, he can dish out some mortal wounds.
Yeah.
But other than that, he's useless.
I think that would probably be the only thing useful for him to be in a Poxwalker if you're using him to tank on like a center point. To then just try to dish out some mortal wounds, because Poxwalkers aren't going to do anything if the other player hasn't pushed out to it yet.
Yeah, and the cool thing is though, if he's inside of Poxwalkers, those mortal wounds that he does allows regeneration into the Poxwalkers. For every model he kills with that, they gain a model back. So like, you can have a pretty reliable group of Poxwalkers.
As basically
if they survive long enough.
Yeah, D6 Poxwalkers back, as long as you're not hitting like a vehicle or something with them.
Yep. So it's interesting, but I think maybe B tier.
I think I'd knock him down to C. He's also kind of like a gimmicky. I'm running.
He's a deathball character. Is what he is.
Is he? Okay.
Yeah, you run him in that group of 6 Deathshroud Terminators, and he becomes just a gross thing that the opponent kind of has to deal with.
Or the group of 10.
I don't like him in the group of 10 because in the group of 6 he becomes super tanky at the -1 to wound and -1 to hit.
Yeah.
Just in the Deathshroud Terminators, it's only -1 to hit. I mean, in the Blightlord Terminator squads, he's just a -1 to hit. So
yeah.
So I think a Deathball group with them, cool. It's really cool, and then that group also becomes a good range threat with his mortal wounds that he's doing.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my take on that, but he's still pretty cool. Now the float type bloat drones, these things, only fast unit in the army that is like small and fast, I guess.
Cheap.
At a 10-inch move.
Yeah.
They're super tough at T9 with 10 wounds. These things are tough.
Yep.
Their ranged weapons, I don't think you take anything but the Plague Spitters on them. 2 Plague Spitters. So 2d6 shots at strength 6, AP -1, damage 1, flamers, anti-infantry 2+ with ignores cover. Yeah, that's what you're taking on them. Or you can take the Flesh Mower, which is another thing that I think is really cool because it makes them a very viable melee threat, like a very viable at strength 7, AP -1, damage 2, 10 attacks, hitting on 3s. Like, that thing is gross. So you can play them either way, but they're really fast. They can do the actions if you need them to. Yeah, I like them a lot. An OC3, pretty strong for a little vehicle.
Yeah, I agree. I think he does the job that you need done right now, and I think he's gonna be A tier because of that. If you're playing a list to get those early objectives, your Poxwalkers might not make it because if you fail in advance, you don't want to spend that CP. That CP is too valuable. You're using those on the charge rolls.
And now what I will say too also is the fact that you can't tangle him up because he can fall back, shoot, and charge.
Yep.
Like, he's really good. I think he's A tier. Yep. Like, by far. Like, I think an A tier is a great spot for him. On to the meat of the army, the Plague Marines. C tier.
Yeah.
They're fucking awful. They are so bad. Yep. They are space Marines that just die, but they cost more. Yeah, they can take cool melee weapons. Like you can run a full melee list of Plague Marines with their heavy Plague weapons and stuff like that. they're garbage. Like, I don't. You can put as many characters into them as you want. You can try and make a death ball out of them. Like, there's some cool things you can try and do. But I hate them. I absolutely, they need a toughness boost somewhere because they are so squishy.
Yeah, I would almost say your entire army needs like a extra T up there, because like you being the chaos version of Custodes and not having the cool things Custodes have, kind of feels bad.
Well, the thing is, like, yeah, I wouldn't call us the chaos version of Custodes. We're supposed to be tanky. We're supposed to be like, I just don't get why we have no durability at all in the army. Like, none of our stuff gives durability. And I don't think, like, they're gonna have to either bring in the flat -1 damage again or something like that to even make us viable. I think.
Maybe a 2-up save.
No, I think a 2-up save still doesn't do it for it.
But then cover actually works for AP -1. Or no, that works for.
Yeah, it's AP -1.
It works. Is it AP -1? Yeah, because then you're still a 2-up rather than sitting at a 3-up or a 2-up normal.
Yeah, because you can't have a 3-up save to. Yeah.
Or no, it's AP 0. It'd be AP 0.
If you're because right now cover, if AP 0 shoots at us and we're in cover, it's still a 3-up save. It's not a 2-up.
That's what it is. Yeah, I think
I still don't think that's enough.
Helps. You're right. It's a movement in the right direction that isn't. It would get them there a little bit, right?
I think the -1 damage, and even if it's just a -1, they put the -1 damage on the Plague Marines themselves as their special rule, and they get rid of their stupid battle shock test crap that doesn't do anything.
Yeah.
I think that would make Plague Marines really good. But until then, they are C tier, and honestly, I might toss them down to D tier.
Or maybe a -1 damage when they're on a point, right? Because that's what you're going to want them on, right?
I mean,
change their ability to, rather than on an engagement for the +1 leadership when you're on a objective.
Make it towards -1 damage.
-1 damage. So that way you want them more towards those points. You're focusing those units on the points. And I think they do their jobs then, because they're supposed to go out and hold the points. They're OC2. That's literally what they're.
Yeah, that's their job. That's what they're supposed to do. But they're just so squishy. But that's why they're in C tier. I think there's going to be a lot of lists that will negate taking Plague Marines. Like, there's just almost no reason to take them. Like, maybe you'll see some squads of 5s and stuff like that, but they're just not worth it. Yeah, now, the Malefic Blight Haulers, these things, really good, dedicated anti-tank. They are fantastic at that job and that job alone. Because with the +1 to wound against vehicles, as vehicles and monsters are just vehicles, it is just vehicles. I think they round out the list really well with their multi-meltas and their rocket launcher. I think they're good. I think they're maybe B tier. I don't think they go up higher than that though, because they're so specific in what they have to do. Yeah, what's your thoughts on that?
Them being a movement 10, what's their point cost? I guess I don't know a good range on their points. Are they like 80 points still a pop?
No, they're 115.
They're 115.
I mean, they're 10 wounds. Toughness 9, 10 wounds. Like,
OC3. Melee.
They're pretty much the flow type bloat drone, but without flying and ranged. They're meant to be ranged.
Yeah.
So I think they're interesting. They can be in some cool niche lists and stuff like that, but I wouldn't put them probably above B tier. That's probably where they should sit because they're so niche.
Yeah, I think I would almost point them because they're meant to be tank hunters, but they don't have good tank guns.
It's because they have +1 to wound against all vehicles.
Yeah, I think if they had like a strength 12 weapon, that would have been like the best like loadout for them, because with the +1 wound, you're wounding on 2s with them. I know that would have been one shot, but like that almost guarantees you're wounding on that shot type thing. So it almost makes me want to put them to C. But I think I'll agree, and we'll shove them in B tier right now.
I think the +1 to wound at wounding most things on 4s, and actually some smaller vehicles on 2s, because strength 9 is a decent strength.
Ignore Tau. Tau is a strength toughness 8 army. We'll get there when we get there.
Yeah, but I think because of that, the +1 to wound wounding most things on 4s. Actually, I think everything on 4. I don't think there's anything out there with a toughness 18, so it's wounding almost any vehicle on 4s. Makes them pretty good.
You're wounding on 5s, you mean?
+1 to wound.
Oh, +1 to wound. Well, yes. Most monsters
wounding any
are all
vehicle
T9.
on 4s.
They're usually T9 or less for monsters. So yeah, you're wounding on everything at 4s.
Well, the +1 to wound is only on vehicles. It's not on monsters.
I know, but most monsters don't go above 9. I would say like all the Tyranid monsters that I've played are about tier T9, T8, T7. Like
that's fair. Okay.
Like there might be some special niches in there that go a little bit above for monsters, but I think most of them are T9. There might be a couple T10s that are named, or like maybe Chaos related, but
yeah. Well, that's fair. But yeah, I think B tier is a pretty good spot for that. Now, the Chaos Rhino, you can throw it in the trash. It's D tier.
Yeah.
Like they transport models. That's it. They're not doing anything past that. Yeah, no invul, nothing special. I can't get out and charge.
Yeah, if you don't have a room in your list for a Land Raider, you try to run one of these things, you'll find out real quick you want that Land Raider faster.
Yeah, they're pretty. Toss that down to F tier.
I don't
think, out of here.
I don't think it's as bad as the Predator.
I just don't. I don't like it. I don't like them at all. They don't do anything.
They do things, just not against everything.
I think they'd feel a bit better if the Plague Marines were a bit tankier, because then I could move 12 inches and get the Plague Marines out and they wouldn't die right away.
Yeah, because you could get them out on a point.
Yeah. But
the hope and dreams.
Yeah.
I think it's almost like correlation with your troops. Like you're not putting Poxwalkers in there because
can't put Poxwalkers in them.
Yeah. Well, there you go. That even spells it out for me. You can't put Poxwalkers.
It can't transport Terminators, Cultists, or Poxwalkers. It can only be the characters and the Plague Marines. There we go.
Yeah, we can.
You see what I mean?
Yeah. We can put it F. If we could get like Poxwalkers up, I could more understand that. Because then you could throw something chaff out there faster, if you really wanted to.
They're just not good. So now the Chaos Lord and Terminator armor. This model is probably C tier. And the only reason it's in C tier is because you get +1. You get a reroll hit rolls of 1. I mean, it's the only source of rerolls to hit in the army, other than the Chaos Lord without Terminator armor, which we can jump to real quick. John, if you want to just grab that one.
Yes, I can.
He's also going to go C tier.
Yeah, right next to it. It's the same thing, but for turns.
Actually, I'd probably put that one in D tier.
Yeah.
Because rerolls of 1 on Plague Marines isn't as useful as it is on Terminators.
Yeah. Well, it actually might not be too bad of a mix-up for if you're taking 10 Terminators, because like you get rerolls of 1, right? Or
yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's why the Terminator armor one is better than the regular.
Oh, okay, that's fair. Oh, this is the regular. Did I?
Yep, that's the regular. You're good. You're good.
Cool.
No, you have it right. That's so the rerolls of 1 is the only reason they're up there. They do mortal wounds too if you're within engagement range of them. I think is what it is.
Nope. Custodians have that, and it's never good.
Well, it's while you're in with contagion range of this model. At the end of the turn, roll. Yep. At the end on a 4+, that enemy unit suffers D3 mortal wounds.
What did the Hellbrute read? It counts as being a contagion range of this model. Is there?
I think it's of that model.
Of that model. Okay. Never mind. Because if it like counted for anything shooting at it?
It says it's until the start of your next turn, that enemy unit is always considered to be within contagion range of a unit from your army. So you could choose it to be him, so you can be doing mortal wounds across the battle. That's sick.
I think that's also he's also you know what? Just for that, I think he goes in that Hellbrute list.
I think the Terminator one goes up to B tier.
Oh, does that? Do they both have the same thing for the mortal
Yeah, they're
wounds?
both the same.
Oh, and they're just termies. Okay, yeah.
I think they both go up a tick for that.
Yeah. I don't think I would put the normal one up. I think the Terminator one you still want with termies. You want that rerolls of 1. The termies doesn't work for the blight. For the flamer termies though.
I wouldn't put him with the flamer termies. He would be with the Death Shroud. I'm with the Blight Lords specifically.
I'm gonna keep them at C tier. I think they're You're
They're
probably
both
playing
C2.
you're playing a niche list. You're probably splashing some in for the Hellbrutes,
I think it's cool. I think that's a very cool thing to try.
and you might see one
Because you
here
can be
and
doing
there.
mortal wounds across the board to whatever you want to on a 4+. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And I think you can. Well, I guess
Here,
you can only do it with one.
I
So
want to see this list, Caleb. I want to see your Hellbrute list. 3 Hellbrutes. Let's go.
I need Hellbrutes.
Oh, you have
I
2
need
of
to
them.
find them.
You
I
have
don't
2.
have Hellbrutes at all.
Oh, so
Though
the
we have.
ones you had that were 3D printed no longer fit for what they are, so they could be Hellbrutes.
Oh, I guess that's fair. They could be Hellbrutes.
Um,
Fair
Aaron,
enough.
you have 2 at least.
I do. I have 2 then. I guess that's fair. I have to find some weapons for them.
Yes.
But yeah. So I think that's pretty cool. I enjoy the thought of that. The Sorcerer and Terminator armor though. This guy is. He's interesting. I think he's probably C tier also. Now, what's cool is he does give -1 damage to a unit in the fight phase though. So
Okay.
the way it reads is at the start of the fight phase, you can select one enemy unit within 18 inches invisible to Psyker and roll a d6. On a 1, he's going to take d3 mortal wounds, and on a 2+, until the end of the phase, each time an attack is allocated to a model in this Psyker unit, subtract 1 from the damage characteristics. So it's cool to keep a group of Terminators really tanky against a specific melee threat, but other than that, that's why I think he's C tier.
He has a cool psychic ability once per battle too, though.
Yeah, they increase the strength and damage.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's interesting. I think he's C tier still.
Forup Invul doesn't do anything for the squad you're leading him in. I don't think he's good. He's not good synergy. He's a leader. He's not
So
like
D tier?
Yeah, I think he should be a lone operative. I think they just actually screwed his thing up. I think they should have gave him lone operative for you.
Yeah, maybe, but he's something. He's there.
He is.
Now, the Lord of Virulence, this guy, I think, specifically, is probably A tier. Because he's giving the synergies with your tanks, with the indirect fires and blast, not with indirect fire, with blast.
Blast weapons specifically.
Yeah, specifically blast weapons. So it's making your mortars better. And then some other niche stuff that is in the army. But it's really cool. If you're taking 3 Plagueburst Crawlers, you're gonna take at least one of him. So I think that deserves to be put in A tier. He's almost a must-take with those Plagueburst Crawlers. Because it's allowing you to ignore the cover. It's giving you +1 to hit.
Free rerolls to the leading unit too for wounding.
Yep. Full rerolls of wounds. So I think A tier is a good spot for him.
Yeah, full rerolls. I think that sells it. You can put him in the Blightlord Terminators.
Yep, that's usually where he goes.
Yep, and
I put him in Blightlords. I don't put him in Death Shrouds.
Oh, I think he'd be cool in Death Shroud because you get full rerolls wound, anti-infantry. Oh, is that makes a range?
It's a range. It's only range attacks.
Exactly.
So
their range.
Oh, you're talking about with the
anti-infantry
with the flamers.
Yeah. I think there's some extra play where you can try him in a couple different things. He might fit for better or worse in certain squads.
Yeah, I don't know. He can fit everywhere, but I do think he's A tier. The Chaos Spawns, though, I think are probably A tier, if not S tier. Because 8-inch move, I believe they're still 8-inch movement, right? Where are they at? Boop. 8-inch movement. Objective monkeys, like not objective monkeys. They are they're 75 points for 2 of them. They are action monkeys. They just go out and do stuff. I think they're really cool. This edition, I think A tier is a great spot for them.
Yeah.
I think 2 groups of 2 to be able to move quick, move advance, with their ability of they regain D3 lost wounds at the start of each player's command phase. By the way, not just your own, each player's.
Yep.
And so they're pretty tanky. T5 4 wounds, 4-up save. They just move around, do actions, and most people don't want to shoot at them. And if they don't kill them, they try and plink wounds off them. They just heal them back up. I think they're really good.
That, and they're not bad at melee.
Yeah, no, they're pretty decent. They have some.
AP
They can have a lot of attacks. They're pretty swingy.
Yeah, it's D6 +2 4 up.
Yep.
You are hitting on 4 ups, but I don't know. It's there. It's
I
good
think they're
action
cool.
monkey. That's like if you get the corner objective first turn,
Yep.
so that way you can do the actions in the corners and get 2
Yep,
right
they're
off the
running
bat.
around the board. They're just pushing up. I think it'd be cool if they had infiltrators, but they don't. But also, they have 5 up Feel No Pain, which is another really cool thing for them.
I think it would have been cool if it wasn't infiltrator, or at least scout to do like a pregame movement with them.
Yeah, something like that. Tallyman is D tier.
Yeah.
He's pretty dog shit. He's giving Feel No Pains to a single unit. It's Plague Surgeon, sorry.
Oh, that's Plague Surgeon. Yeah, that's about to say,
Yep.
like, we already did the Tally Man.
Yeah, no, Plague Surgeon, sorry, my bad. He's giving he gets to res a model in the bodyguard unit, so you're resing a Plague Marine. Whoop-de-fucking-do. And then oh no, he doesn't even give Feel No Pains. I'm sorry. He just reses a model, and at the end of your movement phase, you can res. He can heal an infantry character within 3 inches, 3 lost wounds.
Yeah.
He's not doing anything else. He's pretty shit.
I think if he had a 5 up Feel No Pain, like wherever he was leading, he'd be really good.
Yeah, he could be a lot better in that circumstance. Actually, drop him down to F tier. He doesn't even deserve D. Like, if you're taking him, you're wasting points. He's too many points. 65.
65.
He's 65 points. It's garbage. For 55 points, I get 5 up lethal hits.
You don't have to run him. How far does he move?
5 inches, just like everything else.
I wanted to make sure he wasn't a Termy. You don't have.
No,
to
if he was a
run him
Termy, I'd put him in Terminator
leading
squads.
a unit.
Okay, and then you lose the fact that you can res a model.
Fair. That is fair. You
F-tier.
do lose one of his things.
F-tier.
I think we keep him at the bottom of the beginning of F, because the Predator is a special, very special.
He's shit. He is so shit. But fine, I'll give you that.
I almost think the Rhino's worth more. You know what? I'm gonna flip these. I think the Rhino is worth more.
Sure.
It gives you movement, the thing that you can't get.
That's fair. I'll give you that. So the Demon Prince with wings. This is an interesting model. Demon Princes in general, but the fact that they aren't in squads anymore, you can just shoot them wherever they are. Now, he has 11-inch move, T10, 2 up save, 4 up invul, with 10 wounds, 6 up a leadership with a 3 up OC. I think they get a Plague Spewer for free now. Yeah, you get a Plague Spewer for free. So D6 shots at anti-infantry 2+, strength 5, AP -1, damage 1. And his ability is on the charge. He has devastating charge, so whenever he ends his charge move until the end of the turn, his Hellforged weapons have the devastating wounds ability, which is really cool. And then every time he ends a charge move, whoever he charged, one enemy unit within engagement range has to take a battle shock test, which is cool-ish. So he's good. I think probably B tier. He's not as good as what the non-wing Demon Prince is, I don't think.
Yeah. Let me double check the non.
Because the non-wing Demon Prince gives Feel No Pains.
Yeah, I agree. As we have that guy right here, he's basically the same, but Feel No Pain.
I think he'd probably be top of B tier. I don't think he's A tier.
Yeah, I think both of these models need more of a, like, especially the one without wings should probably have a lone operative to keep them from just being, oh, you're the thing giving them Feel No Pains, cool, die.
Yeah, I either that or a big durability boost or something, but they're just not. They're not great to me. I think the Demon Prince with wings at least is a cool like melee threat that you can just toss him up there and let him smack things. But he's still not good. Now the Malignant Plaguecaster, on the other hand, I think is amazing, like super good. He is probably S tier, specifically for his Flamer. Because what I think is cool, you throw him in a group of 5 Plague Marines with a Foul Blight spawn, and you put them in a Rhino, and with open top 2, they both just do Flamers out the Rhino and make that Rhino an actual threat.
Yep.
And maybe not S tier, maybe A tier. I
Uh,
think he's A tier.
what does he do for your infantry? Leading it. Is he just kind of a
-1 to
splash
hit.
unit? He's a -1 to hit.
In your select one enemy. It gives something -1 to wound.
Oh no, it's
So,
the -2 to move, 2 to movement and advance charge.
yes, if
Rolls.
you're hit with the flamer, but his gift to contagion psychic ability is until the start of your next shooting phase. Each time a model in that enemy unit makes a melee attack, subtract 1 from the wound roll. So in your shooting phase, you select something within 18 inches of him, and it gets -1 to wound in the melee phase, which I think is also really good. So
Yeah.
maybe S tier.
I think it's S tier because you're giving him minus, because that's not just against the unit, his the psychers.
It's as long as you score a hit with the plague winds ability.
-1 to wound. Yeah, it just gives a
Sorry.
-1 to wound on the unit. So like most of your things are like if chaff guns wounding on 5s to or 4s to 5s, you know, against your army.
It's not guns. It's only melee attacks.
Oh, it's the only melee attacks.
It's only melee.
I thought it was everything. I think A tier. I don't
Top
like
A tier.
Yeah, that -1 to wound. If it just said anything, like it was just a -1 to wound if it got through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fair. Okay. We can move on to the Foul Blightspawn. This guy is S tier.
Yeah.
His Flamer, super good with anti-infantry 2+, ignores cover and torrent. Strength 7, AP -2, damage 2. It kills pretty much any infantry it shoots at. Like, it's gross. And then also, his ability of giving me fight first actually makes a blob of 10 Plague Marines somewhat scary.
Yeah.
Because you're going to charge me, and I'm going to hit you first. So, I think S tier for him, specifically for that reason alone, because he makes Plague Marines somewhat viable.
Yep.
But other than that, he doesn't do anything else.
I was about to say, he's what's keeping your Plague Marines alive at
Yep.
C tier. Otherwise, we might have thought about putting them a little lower.
Yep, I'd agree. This fortification, this miasmic malignifier, I don't know. I've never ran it. I've never seen anyone run it. It's probably D tier. I don't think it's as bad as a Plague Surgeon in the Predator, but I don't think it's really gonna be taken.
You know what? I'm gonna put it up here. You're gonna hear the cheese that we just found out as we were making this tier list.
That is true.
I think it's a great movement blocker for your opponent because you put them anywhere 9 inches away from the opponent's deployment zone. I don't think we haven't found any rules about fortifications that can't be set up near, like, this might be tournament rules or like ITC rules. I don't know. So like we couldn't find anything in the core rulebook and no FAQs so far. And from what we looked on for Reddit, people are using it for movement blockers. So you can either trap your units to keep them from being charged or to try to trap enemy units to restrict them on moving, like whether that be their vehicles or that be other things. Just to kind of take up the space in that midfield or your home area to keep things from coming in. They could be great deep strike prevention. They are OC0, so it's not like they can just hold your back point. But like for you specifically, you could put them on your back point to keep people from like deep striking near them, because you can't deep strike near this, right?
No, you can.
Oh, you can. It doesn't count as a unit.
Oh, it is a 9-inch screen still, I think.
Yeah, so it's a 9-inch screener that if you're shooting at it, you're wasting your time, and you once you walk off of it, you hold that objective. So like it is 100 points to do that. But it's almost like you'll never come in unless they come and take it. They ain't taking it, and that means they charge through your army. You're already lost.
Yeah. So fair enough. I'll give it a C tier in that circumstance.
It's just like the Hellbrute. You're using it to be cheeky in a specific list. I would say if they've hotfixed that, that'd probably be a F tier straight to the bottom. F for fortification. Normally, but I think fortification is being dumb right. A couple fortifications being dumb right now. I don't think I'll play it locally because I don't have any, and it kind of feels a little weird because the Tau ones move, and that feels really really bad.
Yeah. So I will say we did miss a few units that I will quick give mentions to and where I think we'd put them. So the Noxious Blightbringer we forgot to put up there. I think he's also F tier. With his ability, you can re-roll advance and charge rolls. Awesome. And then if they're in range of in a specific list with the Hellbrutes and stuff like that, he might be D tier or C tier, because while you're in contagion range of this enemy model, while an enemy model is within contagion range of this model, they subtract 2 from their battle shock tests.
Yeah.
So that could be really cool for that. But other than that,
I don't think even for the Hellbrute list, that'd be like a D at best. Like,
yeah,
you would want the mortal wounds. That's free wounds to get on them, you know. Or
yep, I'd rather have that on them than
the
-2 leadership. I'd agree. Now the other one we missed, the other 2 we missed. It is going to be, let me find it. So the Death Guard Icon Bearer is apparently a model. I did not realize this thing was actually a model. I thought it was something inside of a Death Guard unit.
Caleb told me to take it out of the list.
So it adds 1 to the OC of units. I think this thing is also probably F tier, because my Plague Marines are bad, so why would I want to have him inside of a unit? And then once per battle, it has you can treat him as having contagion range of 12 inches. There we go. Once per battle. I just don't think it's worth taking. He's pretty bad. So F tier with him.
I think that's a D tier. The OC3 is fine. It's against specific matchups, right? That'd be like a Custodes matchup you want to get him against, or like another melee like Blood Angels, or like something that you're going to be on points with your Plague Marines that aren't going to shoot you off immediately, right?
Yeah, that's fair.
But like that, because it's situational, that I think that's D tier. Like, you don't take them in a list if you don't have to.
Yeah, and now the last unit we missed was the Death Guard Cultists.
Oh, did we? I thought I had cultists in here.
No, we had Poxwalkers. We didn't have Cultists.
Oops.
So the Cultists probably C tier. The only thing that's really going for the Cultists that the Poxwalkers don't do is they move further. They move at 6 inches instead of 4. And they have Scout 6 inches. That's it. They have a 6-up save. No feel, no pains.
Yep.
They die way easier. And
also, Action Monkeys.
More expensive.
Yeah,
they're just more Action Monkeys. The Scout is cool, but they don't survive long enough for me to care about it. So, C tier probably is where I'd put them.
Yep.
I think that's everything. I don't think we missed anything else. So, for us throwing this together ourselves, not too bad.
Let us know what do you guys think in either the comments or in a survey for us. And if you want to see the next one, let us know in those comments. We'll be watching out for the next podcast.
Yep. So thanks you guys for listening. We'll see you next week. Have a good one.